we finally got the sun out. It's a nice change. It's been miserable. I don't know if that's made the kids worse or what. Holy cow. We finally got the sun out. I just let them out of jail. Get into this in a minute.
Dad, Larson found this under the bed.
Fine, put it up on the shelf. Montreal got hosed, yeah. Maybe, Rick, you need to get a laptop or something so you could do some lines and then you wouldn't be hosed at all. You might have been in the playoffs. Bruins do not suck. They looked good last night. They got hosed last night. And the game before. Get the mug too. Alright, well, let's do some playoff previews. Kids have my patience at an all-time low. So I'm not gonna take too long through this stuff. Yeah, you guys can see I've got a board today. He said the budget's going up for this stuff. Cramming this in amongst work. Good times. We'll go through each series and then I'll do my predictions with that, and I'm gonna do a full prediction of the actual playoffs. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah, we got outdoors today. It's nice out. Finally. Sunshine in Ontario for a day. Been just awful. But hopefully it's going to get better here shortly. Supposed to camp May long weekend. I canceled that one. Forget that. Everything's just so saturated. The mosquitoes will be brutal. So we won't bother. Anyway. No problem, Tony. Watch it when you can. I'll go through it here and then guys can just watch whenever it's there on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube after. If you guys are going out, go play. And behave. We'll start with Central. Gonna go through the Central Division that's here in purple. We've got Winnipeg and Vegas. Is the opening round series. The go play on your Gators. Or the trampoline or something. Yeah, so neighbors out too, hopefully doesn't come bugging. Dog next door, oh good, here we go. Anyway, Winnipeg and Vegas. First series we're going to look at. Winnipeg Jets finished first in the Central. Record of 41 wins, 23 losses, 4 overtime wins, 6 overtime losses, 2 shootout wins, and 6 shootout losses for 106 points. Against the Vegas Golden Knights. They're the first wild card. Had a good season for what they were expecting, I would assume. Finished with a record of 38 and 33. 5 overtime wins, along with 3 shootout wins and 3 shootout losses. 95 points. The difference between them of 11 points in the overall standings. Looking at the teams since the deadline. Winnipeg is 6-4 since the deadline. And Vegas is 5-4 since the deadline. They finished with a 4-game winning streak. The head-to-head on the series, we've got Winnipeg won 2 games. They faced each other twice. Winnipeg won both of those matches, and an overall score of 9-5. Some of the key stats there, not within the series, but for the season. Winnipeg led the league in goals for, at 3.63 goals for a game. They allowed 2.91 goals against per game for 17th best in the league, so middle of the pack. Vegas, on the other hand, not too far off. Goals for 3.22, 6th overall, and 2.89 goals against for 15th. So it's fairly equal terms there. Winnipeg just score an extra almost half goal a game, but as far as rankings, they're not far off. Power plays, Winnipeg has the best in the league, 22.67. And the penalty kill, middle of the pack, dead middle, 15. Just checking my volume. Trying not to stir up too much activity from the neighbors and stuff. Shots for and against, Winnipeg's first. Shots for, 13th and against. Vegas, play ranked 21st and penalty 14th. Shots for, middle of the pack at 18th. Shots against, 22nd. Hey, guys, a little quieter, please. Penalty minutes. 10.78 per game for Winnipeg. 11.59 per game for Vegas. So almost a full penalty minute more. One thing I did notice doing this, the penalty minutes aren't far off. Not a lot of big spread between first and last. Well, first and last I think is more like 3.5 minutes, something like that. For the most part, anyone in the from 5th to 25th fall within pretty close range there. Hitting, Winnipeg hits a lot. They're 5th. More than a hit, more a game for Vegas, 13th. And face-offs, Winnipeg is 53%, 9th. And Vegas was dead last, 45% in face-offs, so that's definitely a key stat there. Look at some of the players. We know what Winnipeg has. For the leaders there, they've got Ovechkin, Crosby, Marlowe, all top 5 in scoring. Bo Horvat came in at 10th, and Edler at 17th as the top D. I think he was overall top D. He was second to Provorov. So a very good season there for him. Their scoring machine, no doubt. Horvat, Atkinson, Hornquist on the second line. Hornquist was a good ad. It brought them in around a little more than half the season there from Florida. Put up 48 points in 57 games playing on that second line. After that, the fall-off's pretty dramatic. Brandon Sutter is the third line center, which we discussed yesterday was that return for Edmonton's lottery pick. I should have looked, I guess, further to see how he ended up in Winnipeg, but I'd be curious. Anyways, he's the third line center, Tim Schaller and Patrick Eves, so that's not outstanding. Neither is Nate Thompson centering the fourth line. Chris Wagner. Ryerson! 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 Quiet, sir, please. Yeah, so those third and fourth lines in Winnipeg, not too good. But they're dynamic, the first two lines. Defense, we talked about them last year, wasn't very strong. There's still some lacking there, but they added Nick Cronwall at the deadline, really good ad. That solidifies their defense pretty good. They still have 3 questionable players, but adding a third option there with Tanev and Edler really helped them, so that was a good move for them. Look at Vegas there. Michael Furland, they added at the deadline from Montreal. He's only had 3 assists in the 9 games he's played with Vegas, but it was a good ad. They've got Boone Jenner on that third line as well. solid option there. They've got a lot of good grinders there. Brock Nelson's a good scorer. First line with Bodker and Grabner. Grabner's a good season for them. He brought him in 28 games to go. Sam Reinhart, being their first line center, has been their best player, but not a lot of huge scoring options. Some grinders. Defense core, Zadorov and Scandella. They're going to see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of Ovechkin and Crosby. After that, it's lacking. Trevor Greenstick's a good defenseman. Nick Holden, not good. Hickey's not good. Mark Barberia, not good. So if Hickey and Barberio ends up on the ice against Crosby, Ovechkin, Crosby, Ovechkin, and Marleau, look out. Predictions for this series. I guess goalie matchups. Sorry, Grubauer is in for Vegas. He's had a pretty good year. 40 wins. 2.68 goals against, 904 save percentage. Winnipeg is having trouble deciding. Go down there, please. Miller and Holtby. And you would think Holtby'd be the better option. But He's played 45 games. Miller played 39. His numbers were better. Let's see who gets the start in game one. I would assume it's Holtby. Holtby, Grubauer. By name you would give them the edge, but the numbers say otherwise. Breaking it down though, we're gonna go with Winnipeg in 5 games. I just don't think Vegas, as good a year they've had, they just can't handle that line. There's gonna be some mismatches there on the defense versus those forwards, and Winnipeg in 5 games. Move on to Colorado and Nashville. Definitely not a series I think many predicted would happen at the start of the year, with teams like Chicago and Minnesota in that division, and even a few others there. So it probably wasn't as predicted, but this is our matchup. We got Colorado second best in the Central versus Nashville was third. Difference between them of 5 points in the regular season. Colorado had 100, Nashville 95. Actually, Nashville had more regulation wins at 37 versus 35 for Colorado. A few more overtime wins for the Avalanche. Kept them ahead of them. Head-to-head was 3-2 for the season in 5 games, leading to Colorado's favor. They outscored Nashville 22-17 head-to-head. Colorado was a good scoring machine this year too. They were third in the league, 3.45 goals a game, and 3.33 goals against 28. Allow a lot of goals. Shocking because they have Carey Price is their number one. James Reimer played 15 games for them, but neither of them put up very good numbers. Carey Price needs to turn it around the playoffs, see how that goes for him. Nashville themselves, 10th in scoring, 3.11 goals a game. Goals against, 3.27, 26th. So neither of these teams can stop pucks. They have Mike Smith as their number one, with Korpisalo picking up 23 starts this year. Both of them well over 3 goals against a game. So goaltending is going to be interesting. Neither one of them very strong. You got as far as the offense, Colorado's depth down the middle is key. They've got William Karlsson, Mikko Koivu, David Krejci's their third line center. Like, come on. Even Nick Bundstad is a fourth line center. That's a pretty good option there. Left wing, they got Pasternak, Berglund, Little, Janmark. Solid enough left wing core. Pasternak being the best option. The right side is pretty weak. Artem Anisimov is their first line right winger. Adam Lowry is their second line right winger. And, really, he'd be better suited as that fourth line center option, but he does give them another option for face-offs. So they've got some, their center depth showed they were 7th in the league in face-off percentage, 53%, well over 53%. The right wing is lacking, so if there was a mismatch between the right wingers and the left wingers on the opposing team, then that would be something to concern themselves with. That's not going to be the case, I wouldn't think, much in this Nashville series. On the left side, they've got Paul Byron, Jimmy Vesey, JT Comfer, and Sean Monahan actually plays the fourth line left wing. He's double shifting. So there isn't really a mismatch between the left and right side, which will protect Colorado in this series. It's something to watch moving forward if they were to move on. And back to Colorado's, their defense core is a good solid group of defenders. Not a strong offensive group, though Jack Johnson and Trevor Daley can put up some points. They are better down as their shutdown D, as well as Brodeen, Girardi, DeHaan, and Carlo. All a good group of shutdown defense. So that. Okay, just go. So that's a good solid group of six there. They run a seventh defenseman. Whether they will in their playoffs, I don't know. As far as scoring, Pasternak was phenomenal this year, second best in the league, 98 points, next to Ovechkin. I think he also was second in goals. Third with goals, 46. Carlson had a good year, well over a point a game. Dylan Larkin. Looking at some of the others, Daley was an add towards the end of the year. Wasn't great offensive for them, 4 points in 18 games, but I think he'll be relied on in the playoffs. Disappointments, nothing outstanding there as far as, I think the D-core scored as they would expected. Less than half a point a game, which is typical of a defenseman of these caliber, and they do bring that defensive aspect. Nashville, we've got Monahan and Morgan Riley are their leaders from the forward group and the defense group. Monahan's their best player by far. There isn't really a player that can play with them. Zach Hyman plays the right wing on that first line, along with Paul Byron. So a couple of guys can maybe get the puck to Monahan, but aren't outstanding. Their point totals dictate that. It falls off pretty quickly after Monahan and Riley. Jay Bouwmeester's a good, solid veteran. Put up 40 points this year in the back end. They did add Malcolm Carlson at the deadline. He's at 8 points in 11 games for them, playing on the third line. So he's actually done some scoring for them. Better known for his penalty killing, but he's been good. So we'll see if that can keep going for them. They can score some goals. I'm not sure how they rank 10th in the league, to be honest with you. They're not an outstanding scoring team as far as the numbers, the point totals. But they've managed to stay right in there. So, and they're also 8-1 since the deadline. So they didn't do a lot of acquisitions, just the one, but it's clicking for them. So 8-1 since the deadline. Colorado's 6-4 since the deadline. But when I look at the things further here, head-to-head, face-offs being what they are, puck possession, Colorado's the better team for me with that center core. And I'm going to take Colorado in 5 games. So both the Central Series, I'm looking at 5-game series, fairly quick. Let's move to the Pacific here in blue. Vancouver and Minnesota. Vancouver first in the Pacific, 112 points this year, 41 wins. Minnesota is 93 points, so 9 back, but only 31 wins. Regular season, they had a lot of overtime wins. They had a hot streak towards the end of the year, Minnesota did. Before the deadline, actually. I think they'd won 10 in a row. Since the deadline, though, they're only 5-5, so they seem to come back to earth after the deadline. Vancouver, 3-4 since the deadline. They've had a late schedule since the deadline, I guess. I've said this since the deadline a lot. Anyway, 3-4 since the deadline. There were Vancouver, Minnesota head-to-head. We're 1-1 this year. Vancouver outscored Minnesota 6-5. Vancouver had the second best goals in the league, 3.51. They had the second best power play in the league at 22.35%, and the fourth best penalty kill at 84.27. Special teams are very strong for them. And the goals for, obviously, the goals against still 7th, so they're a top team to contend with here. Many pick them as the favorite in the West, and face-off percentage 6th best, 53.63%. They've got Sagan, Jordan Stahl, who they added 24 games left, so 3 quarters through the season they added Jordan Stahl. Gave them a really solid 1-2 of Sagan Stahl. Pajot is their third line center, who's had a good year face-off wise, but point total is pretty low. Stahl actually come in and scored 20 points in 24 games for them. Really solidified that second line. They do have Kadri there as well. He's playing wing now. I think he was that center before. Mark Stone on the right wing on that second line. So you got a line of Stahl, Kadri, and Stone. Stone had a pretty good year, 67 points, and I would have expected more from him, but I'm thinking Jordan Stahl brought in there will bump him up. First line, Sagan, Huberdeau, and Ehlers, they led their team. Defense core is very offensive. They added Mike Green in towards the end of the year, and he's put up 14 points in 18 games for them. So you got Brody, TJ Brody, Ryan Ellis, Hampus Lindholm, Mike Green. That's your top 4. Very offensive group there. Puck movers. Get the puck up to those dynamic scorers. Eric Johnson and Justin Schultz on the back end will solidify things on that third pair. Minnesota, we know they've got a good team too. It's a team that should have contended all year. They've got Anze Kopitar, Phil Kessel, and Nikita Kucherov on the top line. That can contend with that top line easily. Vancouver's Teravainen, Tammy Panarin, and Jacob Voracek on the second line. They can compete with Vancouver's second line. Kessler on the third line center, and then it falls off from there. There's a lot of questionables. They do have Nolan Patrick in the fourth line center. He's had a rough year. He had 6 points for them. He's going to have to do more. But the bottom 6 group of wingers is not strong. And that's where the difference lies in this series. Their defense core is good. Erik Karlsson, OEL, Gardner, and Jarmelson. They got Thomas Chabot, Francois Beauchemin on the third pair, and then they still have Sanheim there, the Philly player there. So the defense is strong too. Their power play was terrible this year, ranked 29th. It shouldn't with a group like that, so I would expect that would improve in the playoffs. They had the 4th best penalty minutes for the year. They keep out of the box, so their discipline will help keep Vancouver's power play, strong power play, off the ice. This team is better on paper than what they've shown. They've got Vasilevsky in net, and against Martin Jones or Luongo for Vancouver. In a lot of ways, you'd almost lean to Minnesota. This probably isn't the best matchup Vancouver could have had in the opening round. There's other teams I think would have been better for them to face. And Minnesota, like we talked about at the deadline, they're going to lose Panarin, they're going to lose Kopitar, they're going to lose Kessler. And we questioned what's going to happen moving forward. Well, they still have Nolan Patrick who's going to move in there. Teravainen is going to take a bigger role. Thomas Chabot on the back end. This team's not going away as much as we may have thought moving forward. I still think they've got a lot to be there. And then with yesterday, they got the 2nd overall pick there, so they can either select there or move it for other assets. But they're in good shape, I think. So that being said, Vancouver's still the better team. They've got more depth, and for that reason I'm going to take Vancouver, but I'm going to select them in 6 games. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy as as they would have liked for the first round, but we'll take Vancouver in 6. The final Western Conference series we've got is the LA Kings versus the, I should know these by now, Arizona Coyotes. Second and third in the division in the Pacific. LA came in at 103 points. Really strong season for Tom, 41 wins in regulation. Arizona was 96 points, 37 wins. They had a good season as well. Tom's done a ton of changes with this team. He's changed the whole face of this franchise in a couple of years. It's been good to see. He's one of the best GMs to show other guys that sitting on what you got isn't always the way to go. Rebuilds don't have to take 5 years. They can be done in a couple. He's done this in the PHL too. He had a championship team, stripped it to nothing, bare bone, and was right back a couple years later. And he's running away with the league there as well. Like he just, I think 2 or 3 now solid, really amazing seasons where he's been first in his division or thereabouts and top of the league, and now he's done that with LA here in our league. So, you know, standing idly by and watching, letting nothing happen, Tom's more my strategy. Keep it going, find ways to do things, and make the deals, and he's done so. His goals for, he's 4th best in the league, 3.39. Goals for, goals against 2.76, 9th best. Surprising to me because Antti Rahanen's his goalie, put up 44 wins. If there was one area of concern I'd like to see a little improvement still for LA, it would be there in goal. But his numbers were fantastic this year for the VHL. Top line of Jonathan Toews, Yanni Gourde, and Matthew Tkachuk. Great line. Zibanejad, the second line center, Skinner and Clayton Keller. Third line is Joe Pavelski. Like, really? That's insulting, almost. Pavelski's fantastic. I'm curious to see if maybe, if he continues with the depth during the season. Now, as much as I say these are 3 lines, he breaks down his ice time a little bit differently. He basically runs 3 first lines. Each is getting 30% of the time on the ice. So he's running 3 lines pretty equal and rolling through. Pavelski's playing with Sedin and Hoffman. So I guess maybe you could be looking for a mismatch there. I think if things started off slowly, you might see Pavelski move up to that second line right wing position with, where Keller is. That could be an option for them. And then maybe Cody Eakin would slide up from third line center and drop Keller right down. But that's, I think, only if something dreadful happened off the start. I can see Pavelski go to the right wing. Either way, that's 4 great centers. Their face-off percentage shows that they're 4th in the league at 53.88%. And they've got depth right through. It's fine. Just go down there and play, please. Lars Eller was an addition at the deadline there for their depth. Daniel Sedin has come in at the deadline as well. 12 games played though, and 2 points. So he hasn't clicked with Pavelski. If they've played together this past 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I'm not sure. They've been consistent together, but even Pavelski's points, he's only got 13 in 25 games. So what's happening on that third line isn't clicking maybe the way it should. So there could be some tinkering there. It is a mismatch against most or almost any third line, but it isn't clicking. So we'll watch that matchup and see what happens there with those lines. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Look at Arizona. The Arizona Coyotes there, their penalty kills rank pretty low, 22nd. That could be a mismatch. They also take a lot of penalties. They're well over 12 penalty minutes a game, which is quite a bit higher than most. 27th they ranked in the league there, but their face-off percentage was second. So they are a puck possession team as well up the draw. Face-offs is going to be really tough between these two, being the second and fourth best teams in the league. They've got down the middle Couturier, Stepan, Michael Backlund, and Thomas Plekanec. Really good fourth line option there for a center. Pretty good depth on the wings. Malkin and Landeskog, Riley Smith and Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7. Brian Rust, Zach Cassian, Chris Kunitz, and Ryan Spooner. A lot of depth in that organization. Malkin's been pretty good for them. He's a point a game since he came over about halfway through the season. One guy that's disappointed is Backlund on that third line. He's only put up 29 points this year in the 82 games, and he's a guy they're going to need a little more consistency from in this series. Head-to-head, they went. LA won 3 games, lost 1. However, one of their wins was in a shootout, so more of a 2-2-1 scenario or 2-1-1 scenario. Okay, go play. Okay, go play. You guys probably shouldn't be over there. Anyway, they don't listen. On defense, you got for Arizona PK Subban, Justin Falk. You got Braun and Vatanen, Jamie Alexiak, and Emelin. A good group. There's some typical, I would expect, lineup there. Typical spread between first and sixth defensemen there. I don't think anything outstanding. Subban's a good D. Falk's good. Like I said, I think it's a typical defense score. Nothing I would notice as a massive flaw. Nothing I would say is an advantage. LA, McDonough and Letang, Boychuk and Chara on the second pair. After that, Forbert and Goligoski makes for an interesting third combo. That might be an area for them to watch for. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Smell bonfire. I gotta light up my pile today. We've had our burn ban lifted here. Very recent, so gotta get that done. It's one of the tasks for the day here. So, looking at those two teams, you got Ranton and Pekka Rinne for Arizona. I'd give an advantage there for Rinne. Even though Ranton might have had a slightly better season, their numbers are almost identical. There's a few more wins for Ranta, and he did play. He played equal games, so, but their stat numbers are basically the same. So with all that said, I'm going to take I think it's a little bit better D in the bottom 6 on LA. I think LA, even though they're 3-5 since the deadline, it hasn't clicked for them. Arizona's 6-5 since the deadline. So LA's in a bit of a stumble with the moves they made. I think they'll get a line combination to make that work. I could see Arizona taking game 1. And I can see Tom making the adjustment there with Pavelski. I still think that, it's me, that's my adjustment. I'd put Pavelski up on that line right wing. I'd move Keller right down to the 4th line and move Eakin up. That's my moves if I'm Tom. Arizona, I like the layout of their lineup. I've just looked at this closer. I had picked LA at 5, but I think I'm going to change that. I still think there's a problem there with that third line. I'm going to go LA in 6 games for that series. LA in 6, the adjustments will be made by Tom. He'll get the win. Let's move over to the East. We got the Atlantic Division. Florida versus Detroit. This is a battle of the first in the Atlantic versus the first wild card in Detroit. Detroit came off on fire to start the year. Florida had a terrible start. Re-jogged his entire lineup. Made a lot of deals. It almost looked like a sell-off, but it was more of a juggle. He turned everything around, and it's been on fire the second half. 106 points during his start is outstanding. 44 wins. Detroit had 94 points, 35 wins. They had a really bad second half, but for how they started. Florida's 7-2 since the deadline. Detroit is 3-6. Head-to-head, they were 2-2. Probably should look closer as to when those matchups were, but Florida did outscore them 14-9, which is pretty significant. Goals for and against, nothing super outstanding. Florida's around 10th for both, 8 and 11. Detroit had the 4th best goals against, though, 2.63 per game. Middle of the pack on their goals for. Detroit also had the 4th best power play in the league, over 20, almost 20.5%, and a good penalty kill, 9th. Detroit's penalty kill, Florida's penalty kill, 29th in the league, under 80%. So 3rd worst in the league versus the 4th best power play in Detroit. That's going to be a matchup, a mismatch there that Detroit's going to look to expose. However, with that said, Florida doesn't take a lot of penalties. They're 9.48 penalty minutes a game, which is 2nd best in the league. Very disciplined team. So if Detroit's going to expose that, they're going to have to draw some penalties. None of the other stats are super relevant as far as shots for or face-offs. They're virtually equal, middle of the pack. Goaltending, you got Howard and Anderson in Florida. Howard being their number 1. Under 900 save percentage, 2.76 goals against. Did get the 44 wins though. John Gibson for Detroit, 38 wins, 241 goals against, and a 906 save percentage. Slightly better numbers there. Looking at the Florida team, Nick Bonino is a good 3rd line center. He jumps out to me after Hurdle and Ryan Johansson. Got Gaudreau and Line A on the 1st line. That's pretty dynamic. Too many eggs in one basket, could be. It's a lot of scoring on the 1st line. Got Raquel and Craig Smith on the 2nd line. I'm not sure about Craig Smith as a 2nd line right winger. Maybe that's something Florida might look at, is splitting up Gaudreau and Line A. We'll see. That 3rd line of Bonino, Komarov and Brouwer, that's a pretty good energy line there. So we'll see if that can be a difference maker. If there's some hitting. Florida's a really low hitting team at 27th, so that's an aspect they need to improve on. The deals they made, Hurdle came in when they did that big shake-up, so did Ryan Johansson. Both had good years for them. They were both about a point a game, or better. Same with Ricard Raquel, another one they brought in. Shane Guts to Spear, also almost a point a game on the back end. He was part of the shake-up and landed there. Craig Smith was a deadline ad. He came in with a point a game, 11 points in 11 games for them. So he's done well on that 2nd line right wing, but I still don't think that's an ideal scenario. Their defense core, Brett Pesce and Gosta Spear, Hainsey and Schmidt, Connaughton and Phaneuf. It's okay, the top 2 are alright. Hainsey and Phaneuf on the same ice, I don't know. I'm not thrilled. I'm really not thrilled by the Florida D. So that'll be, see how that goes. Detroit. You're talking Stamkos and Hopkins and Wenberg down the middle. Great first 3 centers. You got Taylor Hall and Dustin Brown. Brown creates some space for Hall and Stamkos. Alex Galchenyuk and Dustin Byfuglien, they've got playing forward, 2nd line right wing, and that's because they do need wingers. Poor Wenberg is out there playing by himself. He's got Gergensen and Yakupov on the wings, and that's rough. But they don't have many other options. They got Nosek and Kulinen on the 4th line, so those are some rough wingers, and that's why they're forced, I think, to put Byfuglien up there on the wing. They can do it though. They've got Peter Angelo, Fowler, Ekblad, and Clefbaum in their top 4 for D. They can get by with Nemeth and Merrill, and the bottom six there. Their bottom defense pairing is not strong, but they need Bufflin on that wing to get any kind of points out of them. He's played 22 games for Detroit since he was brought in and put up 18 points, so it seems to be working. Why Ryan Reeves isn't in the lineup, I'm uncertain. I think he would bring more, at least some physicality. Yakupov is not a good option. He's 9 points in 51 games. If you're going to do that, you might as well bring in Ryan Reeves and let him hit some people. Gergensen isn't any better. He's 14 points in 82 games, and he's a minus 12 to lead their team in the minus category. So one of those two has to come out for Ryan Reeves. Please drive down there, please. So I think Reeves will be a guy that comes in the lineup somewhere, even for Nosek or Merrill. Guys, I am okay. Good, very good. Go down there. I'll look at it after. Okay. So could be some mismatches there, but Florida's not exactly dynamic on their fourth line either. We got Paquette, Gibbons, and Smith-Pelly, and that's okay. It's okay. I think Detroit's top end is better than Florida's. Stamkos Hall, I think, is a better combo maybe than Gaudreau and Line A. I don't know. Maybe not. They're pretty even teams. This is a 7-game series. I'm gonna lean to Detroit in this one. I know they've had a rough second half. Florida seemed to be clicking, but I like the goaltending better in Detroit, and I don't think Craig Smith is a second line winger. So I don't know. I might be wrong on this one, but my gut tells me Detroit in 7. I'm gonna look over at my series, Buffalo Tampa. We had the same opening match last year, Buffalo and Tampa. Same spot. I'm the home team. Tony gets 3rd place. So he's the visitor to open the series. 103 points for Buffalo, 99 for Tampa. My team started off really, really slow. I was out of the playoffs for a good chunk of I think the first third of the season I was out of the playoffs. Made some moves there. Maybe, what did I have? 20 games to go. I made a big move for Eric Stahl. Prior to that, I'd already started to come forward. I wouldn't have made the move if I didn't think my team was capable, and I did. So I moved on Stahl. He was very good for me in 18 games played. Him and James Neal both came in together. Neal's put up 16 points in 18 games. He also had 10 game winners this year. So those two were nice adds. I looked at my team. I know the defense core is fantastic. We knew that going in. I knew I could get by with the centers I had. My wingers, I needed a bit of improvement. I had good ones, Silverberg and Miller and Marchand, and I had Lucic at one point, but I'd moved him out. Backus I'd moved out, smoothed some contracts around. Killorn and Nyquist, I brought Nyquist in. But I need to strengthen the wingers a little bit more. That's why James Neal came in. I then made a move for Corey Perry at the deadline. He's been amazing. Over a point a game for me since he landed. Really strengthened my top 6. I now have a top 6 with Matt Duchene, James Neal, Brad Marchand, Eric Stahl, JT Miller, and Corey Perry. Third liner now is Spezza, Killorn, and Nyquist. And then Riley Nash, who's had a good year for me. Came off a good year in Boston last year. So he had 16 goals for me this year. And I've added Tanner Pearson at the deadline, played third that last wing position with Louis Eriksson. I do have Brad Richardson, who's a good defensive option if I need it. It's a healthy scratch. Defense core of Doughty and Josie, Hannafin and Theodore, Kevin Miller, and Zach Bogosian was added at the deadline. At a 6th group, I still have Grizzly available as well. Just tightened everything up there. Look at my team since the deadline. I'm 10-2. been on fire. Our matchup with Tampa head-to-head, I won 3, lost 2. However, I won 2 of those in a shootout. It's a very equal series with Tampa. It was last year. Won 7 last year, and I won. I outscored them 16-14. And they're even teams. Tony's 7-2 since the deadline, so he's been good too. He's got the second best goals against in the league, 2.45. I'm 5th at 2.67, so we're both good defensively, which I would have expected from my team. His as well. His defense scores: Klingberg, Duncan Keith, Torrey Krug, Adam Larson, Matt Niskanen, Brandon Montour. He's got a good group of 6 there. Offensively, he's changed out a few pieces from last year. No Malcolm this year, but he's brought in Stastny and William Nylander there. He added Zuccarello during the season. Henrik Zetterberg's playing for him. Although he has really not played well for him. He's only got 16 points. Zuccarello has 16 points in 52 games. Not been great. Zetterberg 17 points in 45 games. Duncan Keith's got 20 in 55. And Nylander has 26 in 37. So he's been pretty good since he's come in. But Stastny, a deadline acquisition. 14 games played, only 6 points. So some of his added players haven't really thrived. His goals for is 21st in the league. Doesn't score a lot to begin with. Barzal and O'Reilly lead the way for him. Both well under a point a game though. His highest point getter is 61 points. Mine isn't a lot better. Eric Stahl 72, James Neal 68, Matt Shane 68, Josie 63, and Doughty was 60. So I guess I've got a few more the top end. A great deal of my defense comes from the back end, and very little of his offense comes from the back end. So I guess that'll be something to watch there. I've got Josie, Doughty, both in the 60-point mark. Hannafin and Theodore 47 and 46 points, and a lot of points out of my top 4 defense. Like I said, they're even teams, even as far as like face-offs. I've got Duchesne, Stahl, Spezza, and Nash down the middle. I rank first in the league in face-offs, 54.2%. Tony's right behind me, he's the third, so 53.97%. So I can't lean on that mismatch. He doesn't take a lot of penalties. He has the lowest penalty minutes in the league, 9.46 a game. I'm 7th, so I'm not far off. My penalty kill, his is 7th, mine is 12th. Power plays are not a lot of differences. It's a little better than mine. Mine could be better, 17.31%, but I would bet that number is a lot better since the acquisitions. So, that said, it's going to be an even series again. Got Tony and me battling once again. I'm taking Buffalo in 7. I'd love it to be less. I don't think it will be. If I can get by him again, it's 7. 7 games. 2 series to go. Let's go to the big team in Carolina. We got present trophy winner. First in the Metro, Mr. Wolf, 118 points. Another big season. He's 8-1 since the deadline. Rangers, second wildcard team, 93.6-3 since the deadline. Head-to-head, these two teams actually they're 2-2. However, Carolina won one of those games in overtime. The Rangers outscored Carolina 13-11 head-to-head during the season. One thing I think of that, though, would suggest that some of the Jeff Glass starts may have occurred against the Rangers. Bobrovsky's their number 1 guy. He got some rest this year. He didn't max out his minutes. That's something I should have discussed there. Many of these teams did max out minutes. A few that didn't, I know was. So I didn't max mine. And neither did Tony with Dubnyk. Kept them under the max. Bobrovsky was also kept under the max. So 46 wins, a 914 save percentage, 2.17 goals against. They had the best goals against in the league. Carolina did 2.34 overall. They're fifth in goals for, 3.33. Fifth best power play, over 20%. Their penalty kills over 85%, second best in the league. Their outside stats, team stats are unbelievable, and that's why they won the President's Trophy. They're a force to be reckoned with. Fifth in face-offs, sixth best for discipline. They're a good team. Down the middle, they got Patrice Bergeron and Nicholas Backstrom as your 1-2. They're two dynamic centermen that can score points and shut teams down. They added Henrik Sedin at the deadline, which was a good add. 5 points so far in 9 games, playing third line minutes. And he seems to play them as a third line minute. That was one thing I did mention in Tony's. I noticed with his team, he runs out 3 pretty even lines to 3 number 1 lines. Actually, he does all 4. Four lines all get pretty close to equal minutes. So see if I can compensate that way in some way. But Carolina runs them out as a true 1-2-3-4. So Sedin's been a good ad. On the wings, they got Giroux and Tarasenko on the first line, Steen and Henrique on the second. Second line wings could be a little better, but they're good enough. Brian Boyle was on the third line wing. Hartman. They're pretty good shutdown guys. Boyle could also move to center. That fourth line center spot right now that Scott Lawton's in. Nick Shore and Matt Nieto. A good fourth line. Not fantastic, but not bad. Wolf's defense core, he's got Burns and Weber. 2 big shots there on the back end. First pairing. After that, England, Benning, Nadavara, and Dotchin. It drops off quickly after that first 2. That's a hole I think could be exposed as Wolf's team moves on through the playoffs. I think there's a mismatch to be exposed there against another team. That being said, it isn't going to be against this team. It's facing the Rangers. They're not a team that has enough depth to expose that bottom pairing. Bottom 4 pairing, actually. 2 bottom pairings. What did you do? What did you do? Oh, what did you do? Come here. Come here. What'd you do? Bite your lip? Okay, go get a Kleenex. And wipe your nose while you're in there. Just hold a Kleenex on it. Yes, you can. You should shut the door. Why don't you help him? Anyway. Yeah, the Rangers aren't going to be the team to knock Carolina off. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. They are 63 for the deadline. Their team stats are middle of the pack or worse. Right from goals for to penalty kill to penalty minutes to face-offs, they're near the bottom. 28th overall. Defense, Seth Jones and Parayko are good. Mike Matheson, McNabb, Mathot, and Green, good defensive options, but they're not going to be enough to slow down those first few lines of Wolves. First 3 lines, really. Offensively, Marchessault, Kane, Tom Wilson, Nico Hischier, Jake DeBrusk, Connor Brown on the second line. Kane double shifting due to lack of depth at forward. Puljujärvi on the third line, right wing. Leon Draisaitl has been a healthy scratch for I don't know how long. He only played 58 games, 41 points. He's going to be back in there, which is going to help. He'll go in Hischier's spot, I would think. So that's going to add to their offense, but there's just not enough there. It isn't going to happen for the Rangers this year. Their team on the rise. DeBrusk's going to be better for them next year. Puljujärvi, I'm still thinking is a good prospect. They've got some good pieces there moving up, but they had a good year for what they likely expected. Tough matchup for them against Carolina in the opening round, and Carolina is going to sweep them in 4 games. The final series I've got on tap is a weird one. Excuse me. We've got The surprising Pittsburgh Penguins, second in the Metro, 98 points. Against the New Jersey Devils, third in the Metro, 93 points. No Columbus. Don't know what happened there. They're gone. Never made the playoffs. Had a really disappointing year. Washington rebuilt. What else is in there? Philadelphia, constant disappointment. Forget who else right now, but there was so much discussion last year on how strong this division was with Carolina, Columbus, and New Jersey. Washington even 2 years ago. This division's really gone downhill. Brad's done a good job with Pittsburgh. They're an up-and-coming team, no doubt. What happened with the Sim this year and their team is unexpected. They've been kind of the way St. Louis has been the last 10 years in the VHL, where they've been a Sim darling in the playoffs, but never seen something maybe quite like this with Pittsburgh. Like I said, they're up and coming, but they're not ready yet. Jay Beagle is their #1 center. They've got Jack Eichel on the left wing, who's carried the entire team. He's done it all for them, and he's only played 60 games and has 62 points, and he leads their team. Palmerville on the first line. You got Marion Gabrick on the second line, who was traded there as a cap dump. Jamie McGinn, Zach Smith's the second line center. Daniel Winnick, the third line center. Callahan and Brian Giunta. Dominic Moore on the fourth line. Brandon Peary and Elias Anderson. Defense core made up of John Moore, Stephen Johns, Roman Pollock, Greg Pettern, Carl Gunnarsson, and David Schlemko. None of these guys they're all, your bottom end type of players that you would see on a fourth line, a typical bottom six, but they're being heavily relied on here. Daniel Winnick was brought in with 21 games left, and he's put up 16 points for them. He's been great. Jay Beagle, in the last 21 games, has 10 points. When he's playing first line minutes for them. They got Yaro Halak in net with Brian Elliott. They're a good pair. They put up great numbers. They've been fantastic, actually. Halak's put up a .912 save percentage. 2.55 goals against. But let's be honest, they're not a strong team. They're not a team that's ready yet. He's still carrying a lot of veteran contracts that are all dumps. All of his players that are coming are still on his prospect list or farm team. So this is a team that's going to move up, but this wasn't the year to do it, and they surprised everybody, and they did it. Their power play is 27th overall. So there's a lot of questions as to why this team is here, but they are. They're ranked second. They're facing a New Jersey team, who I think was a much stronger team last year. I had a good look at this team. They put up 93 points this year. They're 4-5 since the deadline. Pittsburgh's 2-3 since the deadline. New Jersey's is not a very strong team either. That division I'm shocked at how much it's fallen off. And as much as I say that Wolves' team is vulnerable on that back end, they are. They really are, but not against any team in this grouping here. Not in that team. They've almost got to bye the conference finals. I think they're not going to face a real challenge until they have to face a Florida, Detroit, a Buffalo, or a Tampa. But this is the reality. This is what they've got right now, and good for Wolf, I think, my prediction-wise anyways. New Jersey's not that great either. Their team numbers aren't wonderful. Goals for is 7th. After that, it's poor. Goals against 20, and power play 20, and penalty kill 28. Face-offs 26th. Penalty minutes 18th. Hitting, they do hit. They're 4th in hits, but is that translating to the offense? I don't know. Maybe. In goal, they got Bernier and Matt Murray. Bernier took more starts. They both were not good numbers. 894 and 888 save percentages. Goals against at 3.21 for Murray. Their lineup, Michael Granlund's the first line center with Evander Kane and Blake Wheeler. They're really strong on the wing. Top 6 wingers are Kane and Wheeler, Anders Lee and TJ Oshie, Kyle Connor, and Alex DeBrincat. Wingers are fantastic. But down the middle, Michael Granlund, Jake Gunsel, Danton Heinen, and Andrew Kopp. That's not good. Which is why I guess face-off percentage was 26. Hey Joe, how you doing? Glad you could make it. Defense corps for New Jersey: Dougie Hamilton, Jeff Petrie, Dmitry Orlov, Jake Muzzin, Samuel Girard, and Brad Hunt. Pretty good defense corps. Pretty good defense corps. I guess that's helped them. Dougie Hamilton is their leading offensive producer at 79 points in 82 games. Blake Wheeler came over for most of the season, and he's been better than a point a game for them. Michael Granlund, he did put up 70 points as a first-line center. It drops off pretty quickly after that. Evander Kane and Oshie, 49 points. DeBrincat could be better, 48 points. So they've got... I thought whoever Pittsburgh faced, they were just going to get whitewashed. Because I think the playoffs is a new, fresh start in the sim, and all of its regular season's forgotten. But they're not going to be whitewashed. New Jersey's going to win this series. They're going to win it in 6. But they're not going to sweep this Pittsburgh team, because New Jersey might be the next worst team in the conference. I think them and the Rangers would have been an interesting matchup. I just don't love that New Jersey team this year. I think they were better last year, and I don't know what the changes were from this year to last. Like I said, their wingers are fantastic, but they really need some help down the middle and in goal. Now, it could be just Matt Murray's had a disappointing season, but so that'll be my prediction for that series: is New Jersey in 6. So we're gonna have a quick look at the big board here. I'm gonna circle the winners. We're gonna go with Detroit. We got Detroit in 7. Probably can't see the circles, but that's okay. I'll do them in black again once we have the results and I can move on to the second round. We'll do them in black and move the teams on so they can follow it, but this way I can follow my predictions. I'm going to take Buffalo. 7. Both those series going 7 games. Carolina. And sweep 4 games over the Rangers. Jersey's going to get it done in 6 against Pittsburgh. They're lucky that's who they're playing. On this side, we got papers here. Winnipeg. 5 games. Going to take Colorado. 5 games. 5 games. Vancouver. And 6. And LA. In 6. So let's follow that through. Do this in the light blue, just so I can rewrite over in black once we have it, the results. So we've got Winnipeg moving on. Filling out my bracket here, my prediction bracket. We got Winnipeg, we got Colorado. We're going to move Winnipeg on. Now, that said, when I do the next round predictions, I may change that depending on results and what I see head to head, and of course if the results don't come through. But I'm just going to fill out the whole bracket for you and show you where I've got Vancouver, and LA, of those two, and I'm going to go Vancouver. I'm going to move Vancouver on over Winnipeg. I think the winner of this two goes right to the Cup final. Winnipeg is going to get there, but this is the real series here. Winnipeg and LA, either one of those two, I can knock Winnipeg off. So Vancouver goes on to the final. This side, Detroit. Got Buffalo. Got Carolina. And you got New Jersey. Carolina, Ottawa, they're winning that one. No doubt. No hesitation. They move on. Detroit, Buffalo. I'm going to take my Buffalo team. Whoever this team is, no matter what it is, my prediction right now is whoever this team is. Be it Florida, Detroit, myself, or Tampa. It could be any of these four. Whoever ends up right here in this spot is going to beat Carolina. I don't think they have the depth. They got a top end, but I don't think their depth's what people think. So I'm going to put Buffalo for now because that's who I had followed through. And the Cup winner, Vancouver, is my prediction. I think to me, it's simple. It's a Pacific winner versus the Atlantic winner. The other teams are here for show. That's the prediction. That's your winner. We're going to go Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to pick them over my team. I don't think I have enough to beat them, but I do think I could get to the final. So, full prediction is, and I see it likely happen moving forward, unless something crazy happens with the sim, is Pacific winner versus the Atlantic winner in the finals. And either way, I think it's one of these two teams. So, chances are, I think the West would beat the East, no matter who the matchup is, but Pacific Atlantic, that's your final, and for now I'll go Vancouver over Buffalo. Alright, that's going to wrap this. I'm going to get some of the day here, light up a fire, and that should do it. I did print up, like I said, I got sheets for every single team with lineups, scoring, everything. The leaders for the league and all the breakdowns by positions if we needed it. Not going to take any questions or put anybody on today. It's 2 nights a day. I got to get going, shorten this up, so I'll get this downloaded and uploaded to YouTube. So I didn't really notice if anything stood out too much as far as the points and stuff or shorthand goals. Nothing funny that way. Good season, guys. Good regular season. Good to see everybody so active. Congratulations to everybody for keeping this league as good and strong as it is. Great group of GMs here, and it shows. And the more you guys put out for effort, we're gonna put for effort. It's like the videos and having the VHL profile on Facebook, and we're just gonna keep building, growing together and working together on all this. So thank you all very much. We'll shut her down here and enjoy the rest of your day. See you for round 2.